corporate rates. Zenith Bank, Access Bank, FCMB, Wema, Vesa, including Avalon Group, the owners and operators of Radisson, that gave us this hub. It may interest you that at the conception of this idea, the hall itself, was like an issue. But because of our relationship with the owners of Radisson, I will tell you that we did not pay up to 40% of what this hall goes for. So please, round up. So, Madam, please express our sincere gratitude to Alhaji. We'll come back in person and say thank you. Without wasting our time, this is an idea that was conceptualized immediately. I was sworn in at the time of the council. But before I go further, I want to beg for your indulgence to please let us observe 1 minute silence for my former council boss, Mr. Honorable Council Matthew Duncan. 1 minute silence, please. Of the departed rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
Thank you. I know too well that all of us that have turned up, part of the concept assisted us during the SARS protest, because we have made it a point of duty to ensure that everything we do, anything we do in this local government, we ensure that we have the interest of our youth in it. And because we have always been thoughtful of what we can do for ourselves and our youth in particular, just 2 weeks ago, I stand before you to say that the National Youth Council of Nigeria, Onigbongbo Lcda, was inaugurated. The idea of what we are doing today, we have over 100 corporate entities, companies within our local government. But because this is the first of its kind, we have decided to limit our scope to sizable number of organizations. And that was why we selected some banks, we selected some corporate interests, so that we can start up something, while later, by the time it metamorphoses into what we are dreaming of, others can come and become co-joiners. Because in everything we do in this life, somebody must start something. If you wait for everybody to come along with you, you might not start at all. So that is why we have come up with the limited number of companies. Let us give it a try and see what's going to come out of it. So in a nutshell, this is an administration that has come up with, apart from the normal activities of the council that spreads across areas of works and infrastructure, education, environmental services, health, as well as women affairs and poverty alleviation. We are trying to give serious interest to what we call youth development. And when you look at the area that Onigbongbo Lcda covers, for the benefit of those of us that are not to conversant with the environment, Onigbongbo Lcda covers what is now regarded as half, if not 3/4 of the old Lcda. I'm talking about Onigbongbo town itself, starting from Antoni, Agege Motor Road, via Oshodi, back to the railway line. And the location of this local government, we are located in a very, very metropolitan area, and we don't want to take that location for granted. Let us tap into all that we have that can make things work for us. By the special grace of God, anytime from now, a football competition is going to start in the name of the chairman of the council, the chairman's cup. And we wouldn't come up to that because when I was the supervisor for Agric and Civil Services, I'm sure those of us that are sports proponents will know who Victor Osimhen is. I can say with all my heart, with all sense of responsibility, that Victor Osimhen, where he is today, started with Onigbongbo Lcda. Osimhen was a product of Onigbongbo. But you see, as you journey up, if you don't have a good manager, you might lose track. If the man that managed Victor Osimhen at inception, by the time he gets to the national team, was using the name of Onigbongbo along with the brand, I'm sure all of us will be reading Victor Osimhen and be reading Onigbongbo with it. But we lost that track because of the manager. And I don't want that to happen again. So we have decided to initiate another, because I believe too well that we have so many Victor Osimhen that can still produce in this local government. So I want to use this moment to beg all of us and think along with us so that all these things we have in mind can come to fruition.
I recognize the distinguished presence of the chairman, Onigbongbo Lcda. Thank you so much, sir, for the vision and the direction that you're providing, and of course your leadership, the councillors and the party chairmen that are here, and of course my colleagues in the house today. It's been a long day, so I promise I'll take this out in 15 minutes so we can move fast. As the MC said, my name is Don Pedro. I'm doing just a brief introduction. So I crisscrossed the media and entertainment industry. Started my broadcasting career at Channels Television under the tutelage of John Momo. I've also worked with Minaj Broadcast International, Muri International Television, and of course Television Continental. On the entertainment level, as you heard earlier, I've been the state PR of the Actors Guild of Nigeria. The Actors Guild of Nigeria is the umbrella body of all professional screen actors in Nigeria's motion picture industry. So I was the state PR and I became the state chairman. I'm also currently coordinating the national coordinator of the Nollywood mandate. Okay, so I'll be speaking on the strategic role of local content development, marketing and wealth creation in nation building. The strategic role of local content development, marketing, wealth creation in nation building. So, what's local content? The term local content has gained currency in recent times. If you look at our nation. In Nigeria, it first entered became very popular about 2 decades ago with the petrochemical industry, where activities and of course indigenous supplier in the sector began to agitate for a larger role in the system. This invariably meant they wanted a pile of the cake. So today one can simply say that they have succeeded reasonably in their quest, because the federal government, through the local content policy of 2006, changed the policy thrust of the nation oil and gas industry through indigenous participation as against the previous dominance of foreigners. Watch this. So local content and multinational players in the sector see the birth of the policy as a proactive step to stimulate indigenous participation, build local content capacity, increase the gross domestic product GDP, and ultimately reposition the nation's ailing economy. ICT, in contrast, is relatively, new, but not really new in that sense. But when I say new to a lot of leadership, around the country. Although we all agree that technology, and particularly the internet, is transforming all human activities as the dependence on information continues to grow clearly. Local content in technology is more basic. So, ICTs has enabled various information or content to be placed over the internet in order to share it over and around the world, thus opening the doors for content globalization, while citizens in more advanced economy increasingly upload content. The same cannot be said about emerging economies. For instance, when you have content today and you want to upload the content that we have here online, it will take you about 1 hour plus for you to be able to upload something of about 30 to 1 hour. But in developed nations, it's with a click of the button, it is done. The challenge, therefore, is how to improve local content creation, assess the role the media can play in this regard, and explore opportunities and prospects in local content creation. What should we be talking about? Local content. Local content is an expression, communication of a community locally generated, owned, and adapted knowledge and experience that is relevant to a community or situation. Let's look at marketing. When the chairman was speaking earlier, he was talking about how the idea and the vision he has for the youth can be properly galvanized, and that will come through strategic marketing to the corporate world that this is targeted at. So it's very important that for those ideas to come to fruition, strategic marketing is very, very key. Wealth creation, the art of making a country, group, or persons richer or more successful. Digitization, the process by which physical or manual records such as text, images, video, audio are converted into digital forms. What we're doing here, if you look around you, you see a lot of cameras, you see people with telephones, people with cameras. What they are doing is trying, and at the end of this event, they will transform everything that they have taken into a digital form, and it will become very useful. What is the importance of local content? The overall objective of local content development is to promote knowledge creation, preservation, dissemination, and the use of locally generated knowledge. There's an urgent need to take a pragmatic step towards the generation, organization of our local content reflecting the values and experience of local communities. Thankfully, stakeholders in the nation's ICT sector agree that for information communication technology to thrive, there must be adequate local content. And this is already happening in the technology landscape. Now, according to Khan in 2010, he said that the reason for local content includes: one, limited resources of developing for developing countries for content development. Resources has always been an issue, and the chairman corroborated that in his remarks, trying to push the idea forward will require resources, and those resources required has to go beyond the local government. Those ideas has to go beyond the local government. And how does it go? It comes to strategic thinking, strategic theme, and trying to build local content around the entire framework. Now, another thing that is responsible is inappropriate training opportunities for content providers. Within the Onigbongbo local government, within the community itself, you'll find out that there are people who want to promote their local content. But training is very key. You have to train them. You have to build their capacity. And you have to keep them abreast of globalization and digitization. And of course, low motivation and commitment at decision-making level to change the situation. A situation where in our climb, everybody relies on Abuja. If it doesn't come from Abuja, then you wait forever. I remember in this town, in this Lagos, some years ago, during the leadership of Olusegun Obasanjo, he had issue with the former governor of the state, and he stopped the resources, what they call allocation. I'm sure you are familiar with what allocation means. So he stopped it and said, I won't pay you your allocation. It took the government of the state to be innovative, to be forward-thinking, for them to generate eternally local content revenue around the state, and opened up a lot of opportunities, and the state was surviving. It was when the leadership of Fashola came that the government eventually released the fund. But if there was no local content, some of the things we see today, like Lawman, if you see Lawman is local content. It's digitally, not digitally driven, but it's local content providing jobs. Now, when a certain governor came and said, wanted to digitize, as it were, and came up with another concept where, okay, let me not go into that. Let me move on. Okay, so the media, what role can the media play? Everyone here must have heard that the media basically performs three functions. 1, information. 2, education. 3, entertainment. Clearly, now, underlining these three basic roles of media is another role of persuasion, where media are seen as varied tools of applying persuasive efforts to influence people's action towards a particular direction. What the experts say, that the role the media can play in national development lie in their capacity and capability to teach, manipulate, sensitize, and mobilize people through information dissemination. The media also charts a course for the public in line with agenda setting, thereby creating in the minds of the people issues that should be viewed as priority issues. Now, what we should know: using digital platform to promote youth involvement in local content. I'm sure when the next speaker comes, who does a lot in the area of youth, Amos Ibano, who is the founder of Programmers Foundation, is going to talk about that. If you look at it, they call them now the Sorosoke generation. Youth involvement is very important because using digital platform to promote youth involvement in local content. If you go close to your child today and you look at their phones, 70% of the content that comes out of their phone is foreign. foreign content. It's easy for them to go into foreign digital platform, to go to Google, to source for materials. Why can't we have that in our platforms, in the local government? Now, another thing that is very key is clear vision and agenda for capacity building and youth development. During the last protest in Lagos, you saw a lot of things that happened on social media. 70-80% of those things that happened were on social media. Youth were all over the social media because a lot of them have become idle. A lot of them are not, they are no longer encouraged and motivated. So they believe everything they see on social media. So I'm going to share the idea of marketing, that for this local government to thrive, it's very key that a strategic marketing team is put in place to go to the corporate organizations. And when the chairman was speaking, I had over 100 corporate companies around Onigbongbo. I didn't know Onigbongbo was that big. I usually think Onigbongbo was just within Allen and Okpebi Annex. To think that it's straight. So there's a lot of information gamut, a lot of ideas and innovation that is waiting to be tapped. In fact, Onigbongbo is a gold mine that is waiting to be tapped. Now, let's use one example, and I'm going to wrap up. When we talk about marketing today, we must take a cue from the audiovisual industry, or if you call it Nollywood. Nollywood is an industry that grew all by itself without government support. I play in that sector, so I can tell you about it. Without government support, without patronage, it's an industry that grew by itself, thriving, consistency, with a lot of passion. But today, if you go around the world, a few years ago, I was in Geneva, and the airport was shut down. There was traffic, and I was wondering what could be happening. Guess what? There were two Nigerians. We call them Akin and Popo. Chinedu Kedezi and Tita Semen. They were at the airport, and the citizens saw them, and they were rooting. And the prime minister of that area was at the airport to receive these two Nigerians. What has happened was because Nollywood has been marketed to the world. Nollywood has become one of Nigeria's brand image to the rest of the world today. It's on Netflix, it's everywhere you go, you see Nollywood. But it was strategically marketed to the world. From the days of Ogunde, if Ogunde left and the industry did not grow, it would have just gone into comatose. But it went into Rattlesnake. And from Rattlesnake today, Nollywood is all over the world. Now, the product of Nollywood are extremely popular around the world today. And the youths of this country can tap into that. The local government can even create a platform where they can build a large pool of talent drawn around these sectors, from Nollywood to media, everything. And you'll be amazed at the number of wealth creation that this will generate. So how did Nollywood achieve strategic marketing? Creativity, identification. Creativity is a hallmark of the 21st century, where you put a strategic team together and they are creative and they are proactive and they are able to do research on the environment to know that, for instance, in Onigbongbo, for instance, as we drive around, he wants to leave Onigbongbo local government different, better than when he met it. That's leadership that is focused, identification, identifying with the environment. Any leader that doesn't identify with the 21st century youth is going to be in the big trouble. You've got to identify with the youth, because the youth is no longer the leaders of tomorrow, like we say. The youth are now in a hurry. So we must create platform to identify with them, and of course, there will be progress. Accessibility. How accessible are the youth today? if you look at the youth in every election, and I've covered a lot of elections, the youth of this country don't participate in elections. Go and do your research. 89% of them are on social media, on their phones. They are browsing. The people who does the thing are the people we call grassroots people. But when you identify with the youth and they are accessible to you, they become a large pool of army you cannot stop. The youth of today, just make them accessible to leadership, and you will see the difference. Persistence, local content and wealth creation. I'm wrapping up, sir. Now, experts also agree that properly handled local content can facilitate the rapid internationalization of the country and stimulate investments that will positively transform other sectors of the economy and create more jobs for the unemployed. But where is the specific point to employ? Education, training opportunities, digitization, and partnership. For all of these things that we've talked about to happen, to create wealth in this vicinity is very key. Education, training and retraining, and of course, digitization, equipping the young people with a digital mindset for global competitiveness. Because the 21st century today, we no longer live, Amos is nodding his head, because when we speak, we say we live in cyberspace. We no longer live here. Everything we do today is in cyber. We live, and of course, partnerships. The chairman talked about partnership. He said we can't do it alone. The councillors, we can't do it alone. We need partnership. Now, for partnership to come, the people that want to partner with you must see. They must see that 1, you are innovative. 2, you are forward-looking. 3, there are opportunities for them to partner with you. But if they come and there's no tangible evidence for partnership, then they will say, I'll get back to you. The man from Access Bank will tell you. Now, before I go to this, so in conclusion, we say local content is indispensable to sustainable development, particularly in this instance we're talking about today in the area of digital economy. Unfortunately, the federal government has assured on the commitment of local content, and the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy has also introduced a number of measures to promote indigenous content. So let us begin to, as they say, walk the talk. This local government has the potential to push and to drive indigenous content, drive local content, and as they say, the rest will be history. Now, I just want to leave you with this picture. What do you see on your screen? You see a picture. This is the only picture I brought here. If you look at this picture closely, it tells you a lot of story. He's a gentleman. He has digitized. He tries to digitize his indigenous content. Now, you can interpret it in various ways, but this is how this 21st century operates, and we're here to talk about that. I thank the chairman for the opportunity, and I do hope that your vision, to leapfrog the Onigbongbo local government will certainly come to pass. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Mom.
Now, innovation-led driving digital transformations of communities through youths. It is this same youths. It won't be about money, but please, the right education for the right of what can correct or can give the succor that Onigbongbo local government needs. I heard in each of certain sub-communities of the LCDA, you have health centers. Please, there are sets of innovation these youths can help you move these centers from where they are to the more expected, refined, digitized health centers of tomorrow, even with what you currently have. These youths can deliver it. When we say telemedicine, telemedicine is not because people are in the bush, in the rural area, they don't have networks, so telemedicine is meant for rural areas. Do you know that telemedicine is useful in an urban city like this? Because look at that, you have a child that is very ill at 2 a.m. Can you drive this child to a hospital 2 a.m.? But yet, the telemedicine can deliver a medical doctor from, doesn't matter anywhere in the world, and your child can be fine even right in the dead of the night. So these are realities. We've been engaging even within this lockdown and pandemic. To me, I say, thank God, we're happy we had pandemic, because I've done almost 100 times more than what I've ever done the last 20 years in 1 year. Most of these things were to be run this year at the Harrisburg University in the US for me. I wouldn't have been able to travel. It wasn't possible, but we did far better than if we were to have gone to Harrisburg digitally, because we engaged 13 African countries on this project that we are going to scale to. Quick one. How will ICT for Seeds leadership transformation impact community economy and the benefits for the youth? I've just said it. If you cannot actually impact a quality economy for Onigbongbo Lcda, you may not have the ability to help the youths. Because it means leadership discipline is very important. Leadership respect is very important. Leadership expect, the kind of reception of these youths to help them grow where they lack it. Because the bit of the detail can be so much beyond some of us called adults, but they will do it very easily. We shared the community in Onigbongbo that now we should be looking at smart city connected communities. That is the reality today. Like I told you, communities here can be in a festival, God knows in what continent. They don't have to travel, and it's happening. The economy of a whole LCDA is just like the economies of our personal houses, for which the main economy simply means you should be able to manage resources. And if you put it to the right use, this local government would have had the best of yields to give you all that is desired. Then once the benefits are realized,
thank you so much. I'm speaking on the topic benefits of a development trust fund. But before I go into that, I would like to respond to one or two comments that have been made. The HOD of Information spoke about the Central Bank of Nigeria printing money, but so far so good, he hasn't seen any new currency. Okay, so the CBN prints currencies, and banks, commercial banks, are expected to return mutilated currencies to the CBN, and then in exchange, the CBN will give you brand new currencies. Some banks don't do this. But as a commercial bank, if you return mutilated currencies to the Central Bank of Nigeria, in exchange, they'll give you brand new currencies. In Access Bank, we visit the bullion of CBN regularly, and we have fresh currencies. So, sir, if you need brand new currency, personally, I commit to help you get new notes, brand new notes. I will take your number, immediately send nice over, and I will ensure it's delivered to you.
No strings attached.
No strings, no strings, no strings. We are your bankers, that's why we are here. So no strings attached. Nothing happened. It's private sector. Then my colleague who just gave me the microphone spoke about youths who are into the creative space and are looking for platforms. So in Access Bank PLC, we have a platform called Access the Stars. Unfortunately, I heard the campaign decks. So what we do is we look for youths who can sing, who are into music, and who have creative talents. We allow you come for auditions. We do it in 6 cities: Lagos, Abeokuta, Owerri, Oka, Calabar, and then Abuja. So we go around, we do auditions, we have judges who would access you. You get to the final stage, you perform with superstars, Tiwa Savage, Joe Boy, and all the rest. And then we have finalists. Now, everybody would not win, but at least while somebody becomes the grand winner, other people can harness the benefits of the platform. We had the maiden edition 2019. We couldn't do it this year because of the rules on COVID-19. People could not gather, because normally in each city we have what I would call a show, a mega show at the end, so that everybody can celebrate. So due to COVID-19 rules, we couldn't gather. But I'm optimistic that 2021 will pick up again. Yes. Yes, so we have that platform for this. Yes. And all this started even before NSAS. So we've been contributing to the development of the youth space. Yes, my name is Onigbongbo Lcda. I'm the team lead for campaign and sales for Access Bank PLC. Yes, and like I said earlier, I'm speaking on the benefits of a youth development trust fund. So a youth development trust fund typically is a charity organization set up for the welfare of the community and the youths in that community. You could use it for economic prosperity, to establish small-scale businesses for traders and youths in that community. You can use it to develop plots of land. You can use it to develop recreational centers. Now, profits from these charitable ventures cannot be distributed among the members, but you can use it for the better of the good of the society, for humanitarian cause. So typically, these trust funds are limited by guarantee. You know, we have different kinds of companies, limited by shares, limited by, you have the private companies that are not limited by the shares members have contributed, and then you have shares limited by guarantee. So a trust fund will be limited by guarantee. Now, there are different sources of funds for a development trust fund. It could come from grants from donor agencies. It could come from public and private institutions. It could come from private wealthy individuals. And of course, the board that will run the trust fund would comprise volunteers, people from the public sector, clerics, and notable people in the society. Now, for us as a bank, we are working on an initiative for the youth, and I know it has gotten to an advanced stage, very advanced stage. So what I will just do is I will keep close contact with the account officer for Onigbongbo local government. She's present here today, Aisha. So once it is fully approved by our CEO, we'll see how we can prioritize Onigbongbo local government so that some of these funds can flow down for this purpose. Yes, I also want to thank the chairman for the good work he's doing. Thank you, sir. Thank you for recognizing us. So we'll keep close touch with you, and by God's grace, we'll partner to greater heights. Thank you, sir.
And with the executive vice chairman also. I would also recognize the presence of the chairman of the party chairman of APC in Onigbongbo Lcda. Every other protocol observed. Thank you for this time. I will not take your time. I'm not going to take more than 3 or 5 minutes. We've been talking about how to engage the youth. So we've been talking about how organizations can partner with the government and reap the benefit either in the short term or in the long term. We've been talking about how government intends to engage the youth. All of this put together, we can clearly see that there's a gap. And the gap here is that we have army of youths that are not engaged. The government can't do this alone, and that's why we're calling in the corporate organizations to get involved. This is our home. Whether we have 2 passports or 3 passports, here remains our home. The experience we had some few weeks back during or post the EndSARS protest, I'm sure must have scared all of us in one way or the other. And in a way, it is a pointer. It is a pointer to the fact that there are certain areas we have to begin to look at. When the youth, when they are not engaged, then that army of people, they become a threat. Easily we call them hoodlums, easily in some other parts of the country they are called bandits. They are Nigerians. They were not born bandits, they were not born hoodlums. But they became hoodlums and bandits because they were not engaged. If they've gotten jobs in banks, in fast-moving consumer goods companies, in insurance companies, they possibly will not be hoodlums. As at the time the EndSARS campaign was going on, I said to people that while we were in elementary school and junior schools, we know who our role models were. Now today, who are their role models? The system turned them to makeup artists, cake makers, online influencers, and so on. So they have a lot of time on their hands. They have in one way or the other engaged themselves, the lucky ones. There are a whole lot of other ones that are not lucky, so they are there. So one way or the other, we have to begin to think in that direction. What can we do? We cannot continue to leave the government to this. The corporate organizations also would have to begin to come to party. A number of private or individual businesses were affected, and one way or the other, people are still counting their losses. So, I will talk briefly about brand perception and recognition influenced by sustainable corporate social responsibility. Why do companies engage in this? Basically, it is to build legacy and sustain brand equity. Top corporate bodies in the Nigerian market are constantly reviewing their giving back activities. We know this. And beyond the larger picture of corporate social responsibility, there can be impact that the generality of the society can benefit from. A few organizations are looking at initiatives that would enable them impact lives individually without considering commercial gains. Perhaps because CSR has suddenly become another means of advertising to organizations, consumer-centric organizations are thinking out of the box to develop a concept that is not centered around praise singing. It's a subtle way. I have my background in advertising. So it's a subtle way for us to advertise our brands when we don't want to advertise. So we engage in CSR, or we encourage organizations to engage in CSR. There are a lot of initiatives that can be considered. In Nigeria alone, CSR has become an evolving business practice that incorporates sustainable development into a company's business model. Well, until recently, a handful of corporate organizations in Nigeria consider corporate social responsibility as the last item on the agenda. However, the situation appears to have changed, with companies now paying huge attention to this, while at the same time pursuing profits in the overall interest of the business. Till date, many organizations in Nigeria are singled out not because of the brand's image created in the market space, but rather as a result of the impact or value created by the quality of their investment in the area of CSR. There are a few case studies that I can point us to. I can mention the cocoa-based beverage that we all know, which is Milo. Sorry that I would have to mention some names of brands here. When we mention Milo in this country, it's almost, what comes to mind readily is basketball, right? And Milo actually stopped supporting basketball some years back, but we can still remember basketball when we see Milo. So what Milo did was, there were a lot of catch them young initiatives. So in a way, they were taking this campaign from one region to the other across the country. They were engaging the youth, but at the same time popularizing the brand, at the same time endearing the brand to the people. So while as a brand they were giving back to the society, the brand also was benefiting in terms of top of mind awareness, in terms of consumer engagement, and in terms of long-term legacy that is being built in the heart of the people. Trust me, it's not a brand that's going to go out of market very soon. They made huge investments in this area. Another brand that we can look at is Pepsi. Pepsi came into this country, and Pepsi at the time was running a Pepsi Football Academy. Still on, thank you. And the number of national team players went through this academy. These are young men that would possibly have continued and ended playing their football under the bridge at Jibowu or at the open playing ground at Mile 2. Some of these people are Obafemi Martins or Saze Odemwingi. They went through this initiative. That brand gave them that platform. We are also aware Samsung took about 300 Nigerians out of the country for tech training. These are tech-savvy Nigerians. These individuals have been given a platform that they will never forget for the rest of their lives. One way or the other, what that has done for the brand Samsung also is to make Nigerians believe that we may not be a Nigerian business, but we have your interest at heart and we are here to stay. And we can see, not only is the brand number one in terms of several categories that they play globally, they are also number one in Nigeria when it comes to either the mobile phone market or when it comes to home appliances. NBC, let's talk about Coca-Cola and as the last one. Coca-Cola went across the country and rehabilitated some waterworks and refurbished some waterboard laboratories. They provided ultra-modern water testing equipment. That's a very smart move. As a business, what have they done? They've simply told you that the product that we have that is water-based, we go the extra mile to ensure that the best quality of water is what we use. So they have subtly done that in a way that says, we're coming into your neighborhood to give you good quality water. So you can have exactly the same quality that goes into the product. That's a very smart move. So what the brand has done is to tell us that when it comes to quality, we don't play cheap. When it comes to quality, we have your interest at heart. So you, on the same hand, we need you to be taking quality water. They don't really have to do this in every local government in the country, but they strategically picked certain locations, and this was embarked upon, and it became a very successful project. And encouraging every organization that is present here, there are several sectors that we can look into. Let us see how we can partner with the government in the area of giving back to the society and at the same time empowering the people. And I say to you, As a brand, you have no regrets, either in the short term or in the long term. So for these companies, these concepts appear to have been strategically developed and clearly defined towards delivering real impact. And in so doing, they are setting laudable examples on how best to give back to the society. Here, organizations are encouraged to tactfully review areas of interest as it is relevant to their brands and businesses. If you look at the outline we gave to you, we have identified certain areas from creative industry to digital technology to sports to farming. There will be one area that will be relevant to your business. We encourage you in this locality where you operate to support the government and empower these people. Various intervention activities will not only touch lives, but will build corporate legacies and impact individuals. Let us remember, media is no longer in the hands of the government. It is now in the hands of these people we are talking about. Gone are those days when we wait for Punch newspaper, our Guardian newspaper to tell us what has happened yesterday. Now when that newspaper is coming forward, almost all the headlines there have become stale because we saw all the news headlines either last night or early this morning before we stepped out of the house. It then becomes a reason for us to consider, because these people, they are the ones that create this news content, they generate it themselves, they report it themselves, and they consume it. How is the government playing in this area? And at the same time, so as a business that has partnered with the government to empower them, you know what they've done for you? They become your ambassadors. They become your influencers naturally. When a good deed is done to one of them, and it is posted to thousands and millions of people to see what this brand has done to lift them up. I'm encouraging us to take advantage of this space. The story is the same everywhere. So we encourage you to join the Onigbongbo Lcda and be part of companies making life better.
My name is Olakonle, the Executive Chairman of Onigbongbo Lcda. Well, putting it succinctly, this idea, like I said, was consummated just to create a platform for our youths and for us to be able to develop ideas in order to be able to get our youths engaged. Aside from getting them engaged, we have discovered on our part that government alone cannot do it, and we need the intervention and the support of the private sectors so that the activities of government can be carried out in partnership with corporate bodies around us.
You did talk about Youth Trust Fund. What do you intend to achieve by the time this is implemented?
Well, like I said, we want to gravitate towards having a trust fund because over time we tend to, from the government angle, we tend to train and train our youths. But when you train and you are not able to back up the training with equipment, it comes to nothing. So we are now trying to reach out to companies around us to have this trust fund, so that even when we train and retrain, we, in whichever area that we're able to empower, we're able to back up that training with equipment without necessarily relying on the purse of the council, because at the moment we know that there are so many challenges out there, and the council alone cannot fund all this. So if we have partners from our corporate entities, we have a trust fund that we can easily draw up funds to empower whoever must have been trained.
Would you say today's event has met with your expectation?
Absolutely, absolutely, because what we have done is to experiment and see the workability, and honestly, it is a workable thing.
Okay, while the speakers were delivering their papers, I paid attention to the way you were looking at them, taking your notes, looking ahead, moving ahead. What's the next?
Well, as it were now, what is left for us now is to do a follow-up, do contact tracing, reach out to those companies, because some of them left because of timing. Private sectors, they work with time, and the way the whole thing is being structured. So we now need to follow up and come back to the drawing board and have a formidable term paper to work with.
The corporate body that were invited, we want them to know they have a commitment to the local government. They have a social role to play, even a major one to play, most especially when it comes to the aspect of youth activities. So we want them to see that they have a lot of commitment towards the local government. And though this is just a tip of the iceberg, the chairman is just beginning to showcase what he has in plan. And the phase one of it is what we are doing now. Is we are first of all to invite the corporate bodies for them to know that they are accessible to the local government. They are even answerable to the local government in as much they operate within the jurisdiction of the local government. So by and large, we want them to know, because a lot of Nigerians deliberately, they ignore their social responsibilities. But we are not forcing them, but we want them to at least to know that the local government is up to the task, and we really want them to know that at least they have a responsibility to play with the local government.
The local government, if you look at the local government as it's set up around the country today, they are the ones that are supposed to be responsible in building indigenous content around the neighborhood, around the community, and around the states where they operate. If local content will thrive, it has to start from the local government. Now, if you look at the country we are in today, there's what Fela called Kolo mentality, over reliance on foreign content, over reliance on everything foreign. All right? But if the local government can ensure that they build a hub where they develop local content in various capacity, youth development, asking the youth to build indigenous content in the area, for instance, of the creativity, for instance. Let's look at Onigbongbo local government. What is the level of communication today? Can we say that 70% of the way we communicate is indigenously communicated? You will find out that if we pay attention to that, there will be massive improvement. China did it, and it's working for China. China at a time had to shut off every foreign content for them to develop. They set an agenda and they go for themselves, and today it's working. You cannot go into China and see Google. You cannot go into China and see Yahoo. Who says that we cannot develop that in our local governments across the country? And I'm saying that the time for the local government to wake up is now. This is not the time to begin to depend on the center or Abuja for local government to thrive. No. The manpower is there, the capacity is there, the youths are there. All they need to do is the right agenda, the right framework, the will, and of course, what they call the political will to do that. And you'll find out that in no time, our nation will be on a leapfrog.
Okay. Actually, this program was intentionally designed with me from Nigeria on the working group at the United Nations ICT for Seeds in mind. It was not supposed to be something that we feel everybody should know, because if we know, we wouldn't be where we are. So the ICT for Seeds project is having its first flagship implementation in Nigeria, and I think I would give it to Onigbongbo local government, LCDA, as having almost the first opportunity of its public speech on ICT for Seeds projects, for which some of the participants' youths that I'm handling across the country. Currently we have Gombe, we have Katsina, we have Kano, we have Taraba, we have Bauchi, we have Akwa Ibom, we have Edo State, we have Ogun State, and the FCT Abuja, because we're able to secure just 10 scholarships for youths, 10 youths in the country. And the governments that were able to listen to us and give us some positive response, we give the scholarships to. It may interest you to know that to some governments, you have some good benefits for the citizens, and they feel they have to introduce some funding, some corrupt tendencies and all of that into it. And for us, we've steered clear out of this in the last 10 years to ensure that the ICT for Seeds research is successful in Nigeria. And I'm happy that we are going live in it and we've started as it were. It would be a little difficult for the present administrators to implement. And that's why we are not going hard on feeling that we are after anti-corruption. But between you and I, an administrator of the modern day today that wishes to be the right chairman of a local government, that wishes to be the councillor of, in his local government, or perhaps just any other person that wishes to have that ambition to become a leader in his community, such people are now having a change of heart in wanting to learn what they need to do as whether a chairman, as a councillor, or whoever, so that he does not abuse his office by virtue of the position that was entrusted to him by the citizens.
All right,
so as a result of this UN-based innovation is to empower the leadership, for them to reappraise themselves, to realize that they can do good and earn a good living out of it.
All right, this form is also for us to set a template for the local government and leadership to enhance, empower the youth.
Yes.
All right, if you are in a position to set that template now, looking at your own area, which is technology, what are the templates that you set?
I think first and foremost, we've already started the journey. Like I told you, the template is that government needs to, there's actually a major methodological flow about this process. We said that leadership in itself has to retrain itself. If you have leaders, I'm not saying put them out of the office, but a leader has to go retrain itself to learn what it does not know. Do you know that if you have some kilometers of road to construct as a local government chairman, because you really don't have the facts and figures, you don't understand what the engineering around road construction is all about, you can now have people who just present either some proposals to you, and you probably will be looking at the highest of the proposals, when ordinarily within yourself, using the computer-based strategic planning tool of the UN, you could have advised yourself to learn better of the right information for constructing the road so that you are not fooled. Because some of these leaders are into corruption practices because they've been fooled by the kind of people they have around them. But to be frank with you, the change and the game has changed, that a leader today wants to keep his good name, wants to do the right thing, and wants to be that the youth in the community needs to respect such leadership because they are doing the right thing. Taking lessons from what has just happened by the recent youth NSAS. The youth of today are global. They are no longer restricted to the environment. Like I told you, Nigerian youths are currently participating in the European Innovation Young Innovators Festival, holding in Graz in Austria. And we don't have to travel. We've not even moved. But I have earned some free tickets for a lot of youths to be in that window. And the festival just ended today after 3 days. So we realize that Nigerians are respected. When you say they are sharp on the computing, whatever, it's because the mathematical expectations, the scientific realization of the black in Nigeria is a global phenomenon today. So you don't say that Yahoo or Yahoo just because you put up some set of forces on the road that may not understand where their strengths and perhaps the sources of their funds are coming from. You see, Nigerian youth today will increase his wealth tenfold if he has an opportunity today and he has not stolen anybody's money. You understand? So the youth of Onigbongbo local government can be empowered for them to learn these skills, like we are doing across the country now, to learn these skills, and that these children can go after the problems of their society and put very good innovation to bear.